and welcome to the Legal Growth Podcast, where we dive into the strategies, challenges, and success stories shaping the future of law firms. I'm your host, Aaron Fulk, and together with Legal Growth Partners, we'll bring you in-depth conversations with top legal professionals, industry innovators, and firm leaders. Our goal is simple: share practical insights, innovative strategies, and real-world advice to help your law firm scale, adapt, and thrive. Whether you're navigating growth challenges or looking to boost your business development, you are in the right place. Let's dive in. This week, our guest is Kara. How are you, Kara?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. We had such a fabulous conversation before this. I am so ready to dive in. Kara has a little bit different path. She's done a lot of different things. And so we're really going to dive in to where all of the journeys law has taken her. So let's start with this. Just give us a quick overview of why you originally chose law and the types of law you've been into and where that's kind of taken you.
Okay. My path for many years was kind of a traditional path. I grew up always thinking I was going to be a lawyer because my father was a lawyer, my grandfather was a judge, and my brother, family members, lawyers. And I was very good at arguing. My kindergarten report card said I was domineering, yet otherwise delightful little girl. So I've kind of always been, extroverted and thought it would be a good idea. So here I am. I'm in law. I worked at a couple of different firms. I did primarily, when I first started, I did a lot of estate planning, a lot of estate administration, and then I moved more into real estate transactional work and working with a lot of small, mid-sized business owners. And then sort of eventually grew my own firm, which I ran for 14 years and also had a title company. We were MWBE certified in New York and really kind of had the entrepreneurial bug my whole life, that I wanted to work for myself and I needed to learn how to market. And I always had done that. I was good at it. I was out in the community, very involved in our community here in Upstate New York. And so it was just something that came naturally to me. But running my own business was a different animal. And what I think the evolution from that into education, when I scaled back my law practice about 10 years ago and got into teaching at a local small liberal arts college, I was teaching business ethics and business communication and then entrepreneurship. And I loved it. I really just found that teaching kind of lit me up. And it took the place of what law used to do for me, because I was kind of tired of what I was doing and looking for something more. I felt like I had more to do. So I started teaching and then did that for almost 5 years. And then COVID hit and I was doing a lot of online educational stuff, growing a personal professional brand online. I grew a couple of social media brands, wrote a book to help educate influencers and creators on kind of the navigating brand deals, working with brands, the legal aspects of all that. And then I just started doing a lot of public speaking and working with, primarily in the communications area.
So when you talk about like teaching that entrepreneurial class, but starting a firm, and we've kind of chatted about this earlier, a lot of times you don't get the business skills, right? You get the law skills, but not the business skills. What did that look like? Because also they say the kids that take the entrepreneur class are usually not great students. So how did that all kind of cultivate together?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, in law school, you learn the law. And what you don't learn in law school, you have to teach yourself to pass the bar and then whatever area of practice you're in. And that's a lifelong process to me, because the law is always changing. So you're always needing to educate yourself as a lawyer. But it doesn't teach you how to be a lawyer. And at its core, being a practicing lawyer anyway, whether you work for yourself or you work for a large firm, you have to start marketing from day one. You have to know how to manage people. You have to market. You have to know operations. And unless you're at a really large firm, some of that, the operations part you may not have to encounter. But I really think that it's important for us to help younger lawyers, and whether younger in age or just younger in practice, learn about how to be an entrepreneur. Because if you don't start marketing yourself from the beginning and building that personal brand, you're going to be stuck someday when you want to be a partner, a rising partner, and you don't know how to manage clients, how to both internally and externally in firms.
What is one of the first memories you have in your law career that you're just like, either it was funny or you're like, you walked into something you didn't know? Like, what's one of those first like OMG memories you have?
Oh, well, two. Well, I was a very young lawyer. I just got married and my last name is Love, but I went by Kara and still do by Kara Conway Love. And I walked into this commercial loan closing, or maybe it was an estate planning thing. wasn't safe for anything. And this elderly client said to me, "Oh, Kara Conway Love, that sounds like a porn star. What a beautiful name." And I was like, "Oh, I just got married. Maybe I should have taken the name Love." So that was a moment. But more importantly, what a lesson really taught me was a few months later, I walked into a large commercial loan closing, and the client, the borrower, was a Jewish rabbi. And I had always been taught, you meet a new person, you walk over them, you smile, you look them in the eye, and you shake their hand. And so I walked around the table, went to the rabbi because he was the client, the bank's client. I represented the lender, and I said, "So I'm Kara Conway Love. I put my hand out. So nice to meet you." And he looked down and took a step back. Because of his religious beliefs, it wasn't proper for him to touch me or even to really look me in the eye and have a conversation with a female who wasn't an immediate family member. So it was a modesty thing, which is very prominent in Orthodox Jews. And so I thought, I should have known better. And I was embarrassed, but it also was a great lesson. And his attorney afterwards told me that, don't feel bad. A lot of people don't realize this if they're not part of the Jewish community. So, I took that. And I used to tell my students that when I was teaching, that, you don't know what you're walking into. And ethically now, our culture is so much more diverse, both in age and, all the demographics and, sexual orientation, everything, gender. There's just so much more that we need to be aware of. And I think as lawyers, we can't take that for granted. We have to know.
Well, I had no idea about that. So you just taught me something.
Yeah. It just opened, it made me more aware of things like that.
I do think your last name is going to be great for your speaking career, though.
Well,
and I'm so glad that nobody can say that kind of I'm so glad no one can say that stuff anymore. At least that got inappropriate, right? Can you imagine now?
Yeah. I can imagine that elderly client would have still said it now. Like she had no filter.
What do you think has been your biggest growth success story throughout your career?
When I decided to scale back my law practice and start teaching, it really created in my mind an opportunity for me to continue to evolve, not just as a lawyer, but as a professional, as a person. And I think that's led me to write a book, to create some social media brands, to learn how to be a better communicator myself. And I thought I was pretty good, but I've learned so much in the last 10 years from really diving into the communication field. I've spoken before lawyers groups and other professionals and other association leaders and things like that. And I think the lesson for me is that it's okay to create a new path. If what you're doing no longer lights you up, that you should be emboldened to, anybody should be emboldened to rewrite the script. And that's been my greatest joy.
I know your book's sitting right by you. Can you share it?
Yeah. My book is called Leveraging Your Influence, The Creator's Guide to Negotiating Brand Deals. And I wrote this for creators and influencers to help them navigate the legal aspects of working with brands, because they give away a lot of their own assets when they work with brands, their images, their videos, without getting in the rights to those, perpetual rights, all those dirty words that lawyers use, like perpetual, exclusive, irrevocable, all those rights that they don't get paid for. So I wanted it to be a resource for that, for influencers and creators. And there's a lot of case studies in it and things like that. So it was a lot of fun to write. It's helpful.
It's on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. Yep. Leverage Your Influence.
Awesome. What do you think your best non-legal skill that you had really surprised you in both your firm and further on in your career?
Well, I think for me, it goes back to the communication aspect of being a lawyer and being an entrepreneur, because I've always thought of myself as an entrepreneur, and having taught entrepreneurship. Now I realize that I was probably an entrepreneur when I was 14 and started working at Papa's Ice Cream Parlor, that, I was driven to be of service. at a young age, both by my family and in the job I had when I was 14. I was a waitress. And if I think all lawyers, all professionals should start out as in the food service industry as a waiter or waitress, or some service industry, whether it's healthcare professionals, whatever, because you just learn how to build that relationship with clients. And I think that's an invaluable experience. And so for me, it's really been about trying to get to a point where I feel comfortable and confident in communicating with people and not taking them for granted, and knowing that I'm going to get the first call. I mean, a lot of the clients I had over the years were small business owners in very different industries. And the difference between me and another lawyer was I knew their business. I knew their family. I knew what they needed. And I would get calls sometimes that weren't even legal in nature. Just, what do you think, Kara? What would you do? What should I do? And it wasn't even necessarily legal advice sometimes. It was that trusted advisor rule. And I think if nothing else, attorneys should strive to be the trusted advisor.
I love that. I would almost go one step further and say everybody should have a service industry job, no matter what field they're going into.
I absolutely agree. I totally agree. I think that there's something to be said for being on both ends of that customer service, so that you're not taking clients for granted, whether they're lawyers or accountants or, cosmetologists. Like they need to be good at conversation and building trust with people. And that's a lot of what I teach now in my presentations.
I love that. All right. So you seem to always kind of be ahead. So I'm really excited to hear this answer from you. But looking ahead, what trends or changes do you see shaping just the future of law in general? And how are you positioning your career to always stay ahead of that?
Well, I think clearly AI is making a tremendous impact. And I think that people who are not embracing it, both lawyers and everybody, any field, are the ones that are going to be left behind. And that's nothing novel. Like, people have been saying that for a couple of years, but you have to know its limitations and not expect it to be more than 50 to 70% right. And it's often wrong. And what AI can't do is AI can't build the relationships with clients. AI can't read the room. AI can't necessarily predict the client's needs. But we have to understand that clients are using AI too, and they're far more educated than they were 5 years ago. They come into us with solutions to their legal problems, and they ask, why can't you do this? Or did you read this case? Or how should I, why are you recommending that? Because I did some research and this is what ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini is telling me to do. So we have to be prepared for that. And if you have like deer in the headlights look on your face when a client says that to you, they're going to go somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. AI is changing the whole thing. But I think the minute I hear someone say Claude and an answer like that, I know that they're already ahead of it. So
yeah, I mean, I'm a favorite of ChatGPT. I built my own GPTs, and I have different ones that do different things, and I use it often. But what the difference that, for example, in my speaking business and my consulting business, AI can't tell those personal stories. Like, if I'm speaking, I might be talking about empathy and EQ and how that makes us better leaders and communicators, no matter what field we're in. But I'll tell that story about the Jewish rabbi, and I'll tell stories that other things that I've learned over the years, because that's what sets me personally apart from AI.
Yeah. Well, this has been fascinating. I love when we have someone that started out in like traditional law and looking to see where else it took them. And I love that you ended up in both social media and public speaking, because I love those spaces. So yeah. I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
I know, I'm excited to be connected to you. And thank you for joining us on the Legal Growth Podcast, presented by Legal Growth Partners. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, drop us a review, and share it with your colleagues, because great insights are even better when shared. For more tips and tools to help grow your practice, visit legalgrowthpartners.com. Until next time, keep innovating, keep growing, and keep smiling, and keep Kara in mind. And if you need a speaker, thanks.
Thanks so much for inviting me, Aaron. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.